Good morning! Kristen here behind the camera because I ran this morning and I really don't feel like showing y'all my lovely sweaty face. Anyway, sitting outside at my parents' house for Easter weekend with my coffee, of course, and the 21-day fix eating plan. A lot of y'all are starting to get ready for your 21-day fix. We're going to be starting on Monday, the Monday after Easter, so enjoy your Easter candy while you can. But basically, I just kind of wanted to go through this with you. I'm not going to go through it page by page. You need to read this. This is your guide for the next 21 days and probably past that because you're going to fall in love with it. Anyway, I wanted to bring you to a couple pages first. Okay, earlier in this booklet, there's a little calculation and it will run you through. Get your little calculator out on your phone if you don't do math like me. And it's going to give you a calorie category. And the great part about that is once you know that calorie category, you don't ever have to count calories again, because that's really annoying because you're never sure, even if you hit the right number, if you've gotten the right macronutrients for the day, and that's just confusing. So once you get the correct calorie category for your height, weight, activity level, all of that, basically it's going to tell you how many of these containers, those containers, that you get to eat each day. And it's going to be a surprising amount of food. In fact, that may be a challenge for the most of you, getting to actually eat all of that food. And yes, you do need to eat it. This is not a diet where less is more. Less is not more. Eat the food. Okay. So some of you may end up in the lowest, some of you may end up in the highest. Lucky dogs. Some of you may end up in the middle. The calorie calculation is based off of one workout a day, the fix workout. So if you're doing more, if you run, if you, like me, do jiu-jitsu, you may want to bump up a calorie level depending on how often you're doing that. If you only do it a couple days a week extra, then maybe on those days you simply eat an extra purple container or an extra yellow container. Kind of test it out. If you're hungry, eat. But you may want to bump it up 1 calorie level. Anyway, this tells you how many containers that you can have. And the book also does a really good job of going through with not only recipes, but telling you what you can put in those containers. And really try and stick to these lists. The only exception I would think is kind of the purple container and maybe some of the green container. You know, they're not going to name every single fruit and vegetable in the world on this, so use your common sense. You know, you may just be nervous, and if it's not on the list, don't eat it. But, for example, somebody pointed out that plums and clementines were not in the purple container list. I think that's a safe fruit. I think you can eat plums and clementines. Just make sure they fit in the container. But the biggest thing is, which is not in this book, is preparing for your days. This takes planning, and it doesn't take a lot, but some of you have seen this before. This is kind of what I do on a daily basis. So this was a couple weeks ago, and it's a good example. I start out my day really the day before, sometimes even the week before, so depending on how far you usually plan, say, dinners for your family or dinners for yourself in advance, just kind of play with it, whatever you're comfortable with. There's a lot of ways to do this, so feel free to go on the internet, get on Pinterest especially. It has a lot of good ideas. This is what works for me because I can keep this little notebook in my purse. So I'll start out thinking, what do I want for dinner? And I knew that for dinner on Thursday I was going to put this in a crock pot. This is a crock pot meal, and I will put this recipe on my blog because it's a good one. Turkey sausages, peppers, I want to put Parmesan cheese on mine, and I did want a little piece of bread, and that came in later. So first of all, I started out with those things. I knew I was going to have that for dinner. Okay, so from there, I usually had the same thing for breakfast, or either, actually this was the day I was traveling, so this was going to be a little bit different breakfast. So I knew I wanted, this looks like an omelet I was having for breakfast. So I went ahead and wrote that down. Okay, I'm going to have an omelet for breakfast tomorrow. That's going to involve 2 eggs, spinach and vegetables made into the omelet, of course, and then I wrapped it in a tortilla so I could eat it on the go. All right, Then what was I going to have for lunch? And this was a day I really had to plan because I was going to be out and about and I didn't have access to a microwave or anything. So I planned what I was going to have for lunch. Tuna, cucumbers, cauliflower, some crackers, and then I had my ranch, which that's made out of yogurt. So basically it's not one of the 21-day fixed dressings, but it's a really good option, and I'll put a link to the brand on my blog because it's a good clean eating option. Anyway, so I have essentially mapped this out, what I was going to eat for dinner, then breakfast, then lunch. Then I needed to fill in the blanks. My tuna packet was only half of a red. It wasn't very big. So I needed to make sure and get another half of a red at some point. Okay, I'm going to have some half ricotta cheese right there. Half of a red of ricotta cheese with apple slices and a banana. And then I wanted to have my Shakeology while I was on the road because that's easy to take with me. So I'm filling in the blanks with my snacks, basically. And then I kind of tally what I had. Okay, I had enough of those, got enough of those, got all of that. And I realized that I was a fruit short. So I'm sitting here going, okay, I need one more fruit. Where am I going to put that? You know what? I'm going to go ahead and put it on to dinner because I can have it as a dessert. And so that day I had some strawberries for dessert for dinner. So there you go. That's kind of how it's done for me, at least. Yet again, you can print out some completely already done meal plans from Pinterest and from the internet. And you know, if you just are a little worried about trying to come up with all of this yourself, that may be the way you go because it's easy. There's a lot of good ideas that can come from some of that too. But for me, this is kind of what works. So I just wanted to give you an option to play around with and see what kind of works for you. But definitely, whatever you're doing, think about your day ahead of time. Whether it's, you know, at the very least sitting down first thing that morning and thinking about what you're going to be eating that day, so you know, because what you really don't want to happen is get to dinner and you only have some random categories left. That means you really can't eat dinner with your family. So for me, I start out with dinner and kind of work backwards. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to post comments, post questions, that sort of thing. And I'm hoping that we're all going to really do good on this. I'm super excited.